Yes, 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 yes. As usual. Y'all already know. Let's get this started. I want to make this quick. Peace to my 6 to 22 strand, 7 to 9 ether follicle, U melanin, selenium base, divine black family of this planet, of this earth, gods of this earth. Peace to the creatress who gave birth to this God. Peace to all energies on all different forms, from the lower self to the higher self, from the root chakra to the crown. Peace to the illuminators, to the Luciferians. Peace to the light, peace to the darkness. All right? Basically, I want to get into the fact that as I'm going through current time right now with social media this month, yada, 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 sometimes I'm so separated from humanity to such an extent, sometimes I forget what's going on. And no disrespect to those who came before me, no disrespect to the ancestors, no disrespect to the great leaders, so on and so forth. But each one of them are no different than me, than the fact that we all came down for a specific purpose and making a choice to be within this paradigm. The paradigm where they were then were within a choice. And they were the messengers at their time. They were the prophets at their time. They were the messiahs at their time, because they made a choice to come down during their certain paradigm. And we also must pay respect to their paradigm, because their paradigm was not an effortless aspect as if we are in today, where everything is programmed and electronic, and all you have to do is make the choice to step beyond the limitations and the society's perspective and ego and structure of what is right and what is wrong, depending on how you choose to move as an individual. Therefore, putting limitations to your intelligence, and therefore putting a limitation across the spectrum of your vision that we conveniently and simply call observation. All right. I want to talk about the fact that the red, black, and green flag that we are praising right now, and yada yada. And once again, no disrespect, but I have to speak. I have to speak the way I have to speak in order to get the message across in the purest way, because I have no ego, and ego is a spectrum. So therefore, there's the ego side that wants you to think I'm the shit, and there's also the ego side that wants to, oh, please forgive me what I'm saying, or even worse, don't say nothing at all. That's the worst part, is not saying nothing at all. That's one of the worst things. You see what I'm saying? Or not picking a side, or being neutral, whatever the case may be. When you see this face, when you hear the name Mind Ascension, no matter who's using it at this time, because I'm not gonna be in, but understand you're dealing with one of the three keys within our doctrine, because our doctrine is any one of ascended mind to an extent of that correlates with this frequency. So at the end of the day, everything is created by your mind in itself. So you place yourself in a box that you feel convenient to the time frame that you're in. I'm about going past every box, to the point where I'm not human. All right. The red, black, and green, okay, which we can get into colorology. We get into the orders of the color, which signifies to a certain extent the importance, quote unquote. But I wanted to get into the absolute fact that Marcus Garvey is not the creator of the flag, the inventor of the flag, even the one who introduced the flag. That's what I really want to get into tonight. And then beyond that, of course, because we don't stay on no level or no box. We here to be gods, whether we are human beings making attempt to reach the king state, knowledge, understanding, noble guidance, or kings making attempt to reach the God state, or gods make an attention to expand beyond and through existence as an infinite classroom. Everyone has a form of teacher. Everyone has a father or a mother that comes before them. I'm trying my best to not make everything seem metaphysical, so I want to get to the point. You know what? Let me just, all right, fuck that. Let me get to the point. Maybe I'll get to the metaphysical. Let me get to the point. Point of the matter is, all right, you claim Marcus Garvey, quote unquote, invented, created, introduced the flag around 1912, something around that time. But see, or excuse me, 1920. The times range depending on what you're talking about. But the fact of the matter is, he has someone who inspired him and basically who was the example of what today we refer to as Pan-Africanism, but at one time was a form of Pan-Asian, Pan-Egyptian, or Pan-Oriental, Pan-Egyptian, or Pan, you know what I'm saying? It was at another level at one time, and then, you know, Marcus took it to another level himself. But at the end of the day, he is not the inventor or the creator of these things. As a matter of fact, when you go deep into the story, you realize he just kind of combined two ideologies, you see, or two necessities due to the time frame and an era that they were in, depending on how you look at it. If you're looking at it in a realm beyond a form of humanity to a certain extent, leaving out the ego, it's an ideology. If you're looking at the aspect of being within your human state and needing certain aspects and necessities as a human, it's in a necessity, it's in a right, it's in a birthright, it's in all these things. You see what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, a man named Deuce Muhammad Ali was one of the first, because I can't say if there was one that Muhammad Ali was, Deuce Muhammad Ali was kicking it with and we didn't know. I can't say that. But documented, okay, recorded within history during the time of Marcus Garvey and Marcus just having to be more popular and so on and so forth. Or, well, technically, Deuce Ali was doing his thing previous to Marcus, but it wasn't in the same era as Marcus was in. Because we talking about Deuce Ali. Okay, we talking about Deuce Ali, 1866, dying in 1945. I believe, if I'm correct. Check my dates. Deuce Ali, D-U-S-E, Muhammad, sometimes it's spelled M-O, you see H-H-M-A-M-E-D, and then sometimes it's spelled just like Elijah Muhammad, M-U-A. Either way, you're going to get the same person. You're always going to see the same one picture, but what we're talking about is someone who introduced the pan aspect attached to a nationality. During this same time, you also have Noble Drew Ali, because right now we're talking about the early 1900s prior to 1930. So we're talking about that small gap of like 30 years during a time in America where the quote unquote black man, Negro, colored, yada, 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 yada. I don't give a shit whether you like the term or you don't. It's all irrelevant, you know, because at the end of the day, if we're dealing with source, all of that shit gets smashed to just microscopic fractions of your existence. And that's where we need to focus on. But anyway, so you're dealing with men at these times who, number one, you're just getting out of emancipation. Emancipation was like 30, 40 years ago. You see what I'm saying? Your own mothers and stuff was just getting out. You were slaves, you see? And then number two, anybody with any form of knowledge had to go through a form of initiation through certain orders. Most of the time, anybody with the adept and high knowledge of people like Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Fard Muhammad, we're talking about men who, okay, it's saying poor connection, so that's the only reason why I'm giving a stop. I was at 0 people. I don't give a damn because I'm explaining what I'm explaining, but it said poor connection. I'm hoping that it's still going. Time's still on. But anyway, you're dealing with a group of men who don't have motherfucking Google. who don't got YouTube, who don't got Instagram, who don't got all of the shit that we're using today. So where was their information coming from? Their information was coming from the vaults, the tombs, and the secret libraries of so-called Masons and all the other brotherhoods, whether it's Brother of Luxor, y'all can look that up. You can look up all these different mystery and Turkish orders and all of this. But either way, they're doing nothing but exchanging the same forms of what we want to call occult, hidden knowledge combined with hidden history and the proofs and the evidence and, you know, the sciences and geometry and astrology and all the different shit that we wish to know is being circulated between these different groups. Now, whoever you want to call them is whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is, let's cut the dumb, childish shit, thinking that anything that these people are doing is devil this or gonna get you in trouble or whatever the fuck y'all thinking on that low level childish shit. Understand that all of it is your motherfucking science. So to be scared of the Eye of Haru, okay, or the to be scared of the horns of Hathor or Het-Heru, okay, because that's her symbol of horns. You see what I'm saying? To be scared of these things that later got distorted and they put in a demonic form, because basically that's who the fuck they are. Doesn't you're giving power to it instead of utilizing the power you already possess and reclaiming and putting the divinity back into it. Not to get off topic, but what I'm saying is Noble Drew Ali was part of Masonic orders. Elijah Muhammad was part of Masonic orders and was part of the Moorish Science Temple, Elijah Poole Bey. Most of your leaders, I'm not going to say other names very confidently, but most of your leaders, especially during any time before all this information and internet shit, because see, once mass media and real technology, we can even go before the internet. Once television and tapes and audio cassettes and all these things were being exchanged, now they had to create something called conspiracy theory. Now, if you look in the chronological order, where was the word conspiracy theory before around the 1960s? There was no such thing as something called conspiracy theory. You know, they would either call you superstitious or other type of bullshit, but there's no such thing as conspiracy theory before the 1960s, 50s, tops I'll go, but 1960s, 50s, nobody was saying conspiracy theorists. But once the technology started to rise and people was able to exchange information quicker and more effortlessly, now all of a sudden, all right, shit, these niggas is learning what the fuck is going on in these circles. And people are passing on information. No, it takes one motherfucker to open their mouth, and that's it. It don't take no more than one. We always got to remember that. And we can go metaphysically too, because each mind is connected regardless. But I'm saying that your leaders were Masons or part of multiple orders under Masonry. That's what the fuck I'm saying. Anybody that goes to a prestigious college, all right, and you see them throwing up motherfucking signs and shit, I don't give a fuck what they told you. If you wasn't part of the shit, you don't really know what the fuck they was doing. You really don't know. If you wasn't there with them every time they got called together, you don't know what the fuck they was doing. And it's funny because I understand that we all trained to enter these situations and shit like that, but Greek letters in black colleges, I mean, that's not even raising a flag in y'all motherfuckers' heads. Because if it was really a black curriculum, why would you pledge Greek? Why the fuck we ain't thinking that shit? Oh, I hear people all the time when I talk, oh, you're full of shit. My cousin went to college over here and there and there. And they naming an AMC or whatever the fuck they call it, AME, whatever the fuck. They naming a black fucking college that has the same European bullshit curriculum. So what are you saying to me? Because his blackface is different now? But see, that's your proof that you don't even know who the fuck you are either. Because if they were teaching real motherfucking black curriculum in these college, you wouldn't be part of no Greek order or no Greek letter or no Greek fraternity. You'll be part of a Kemetic one or a Tamirian or a Nubian or any of this other shit. So your shit is not allowed to be taught. And that's a motherfucker. That's a fact. That's a fact. Excuse me. I'm a little free in my human aspect because I'm speaking about human shit. So I say that to get this out the way. 99% of your greatest leaders before the time of 1980 was or still is in Masonic orders of different levels and ranges. I keep saying Masonic because I know that's the only thing y'all really, so I have to use that. I don't want to get mixed up with these other motherfuckers yapping about Masons and shit. The topic tonight is the RBG flag, Marcus Garvey, so on and so forth. So let's go to all right. Marcus, Elijah, Noble, Deuce Ali, who is the teacher of Marcus Garvey. He hired Marcus Garvey for his paper, which was the African Times Orient Review. That was his publication. You can look that up. African Times Orient Review. Marcus Garvey worked for Deuce Muhammad Ali. Deuce Ali, affectionately called Bey Effendi. Bey Effendi. When you see Deuce Ali, you will see him wearing a fez. He will have a thick ass mustache. It's the only picture they really have of him. Okay. Mind you, once again, Deuce Ali is he was born 1866. All right. So we talking beyond, we talking beyond Garvey, and we got to get to Noble a little bit too. Because we talking about, if you notice in the title, it says his teachers, plural. But fact of the matter is, Deuce Ali, who is a playwright, who was a major actor, who wrote, not wrote, but starred in, and I think he did certain publications for the famous play Othello, which is dealing with the Moors. By the way, Deuce Ali was considered a quote unquote Moor by the terms or whatever you would like to use. Deuce Ali was Deuce Ali was a Sudanese Egyptian, once again born 1866. Basically, he was a man who traveled the world, but at his heart, he was an Egyptian. So therefore, he started certain publications after building fame with his writing, with his plays, so on and so forth. He actually wrote a history book on Egypt. Go look this up. Deuce Ali, D-U-S-E, Muhammad Ali, or D-U-S-E Ali. You know what I'm saying? So you can look this up. You're going to see the same picture. You got the fez on, all that. That's Deuce Ali digging through his story. All right. As he's doing all of this, Marcus is either a child or not even born. Matter of fact, I got to go back and anyway. Fact of the matter is, being an Egyptian at heart, also a Sudanese, he started to follow the need and the movement of, at that time, the so-called Egyptian oppressed or refugees and, so on and so forth during this time. And of course, we're talking about early 1900s, very late 1800s. We're talking around this time here. And traveling all over the world. He lived in London, he lived in Europe, he lived in Africa, he moved to America, moved back to Egypt, and, he was all over the place. But he was also well known for not only his acting and his playwrights, but also well known for his information and his knowledge upon African history, Egyptian history, Nile Valley history, so on and so forth. Once again, I'm using terms that they're using at that time. If you go through the information, that's how it's going to read. Now, we got to understand that when we hear about people like Deuce Ali, which we don't hear about, because I don't hear about him at all. And the only reason why I'm doing this one tonight is because I keep, Marcus Garvey invented this flag. He invented it. And I'm just like, invented it? I mean, red. Invented red, black, and green. Nobody invented red, black, and green. Those are vibrations. But we ain't gonna go to Garvey. Let's stay human. Let's stay human tonight. All right. First of all, even when you look at the flag, you ain't even looking at what we think a flag is. Because you're looking at vibrations and colors that technically are supposed to be going in order. All right. So the original flag, if you dig long enough, and this goes into, you can find it with the Washita. This goes into a Mexum, Turtle Island, whatever the fuck you want to call this land that's been here before all those goddamn names and before all the people who named them. So whatever. Mexum, Turtle Island, Acalia, Amorinca, whatever. I'm not gonna be too human tonight. But the fact of the matter is, these colors were used, Millie Mill, peace. These colors were used, basically, whoever just came in finally after 20 minutes, I'm breaking down the Marcus Garvey flag. I'm breaking down the fact that he did not have nothing. People keep running around calling him the inventor. I'm like, the only reason I'm doing this tonight is because I couldn't just do a quick timeline on my damn IG. The spirit told me this is what I got to do, so this is what I got to do. But at the end of the day, Marcus Garvey did not introduce the red, black, and green flag, and he did not invent it. He did not create it. Even just saying he created it is just out of this world. Because red, black, and green are vibrations expressed in what we see as colors. And this is why the flag is so simple, because all it is vibrations going in order. That's all it is. But we're not looking at a flag with all different crazy stuff on it, with stars and stuff and all that. No, we're looking at vibrations and frequencies. But anyway, I'm locking this down. I'm not even trying to pay attention. I'm just giving respect to the ones that came in. But anyway, these men who came before the men we praise today, and who many men came before them, since we're on the subject, before, you know what? I'm going to try to make this quick tonight because I listen to y'all. Please leave comments, leave criticism, so on and so forth, because I listen to my brothers. My brother was telling me the other day, like, yo, that hour and a half stuff, So I'm making an attempt to shorten things. It's more difficult because I'm not talking to anybody and nobody's asking questions per se. So I'm just sitting here, trying to stick to the subject, which I hate doing unless somebody keeps me on the subject. Now, there was a man who inspired the man who inspired the man who inspired all those men. Now, here's where it comes the source knowledge. All right. Now, first of all, let me just let y'all see Deuce Ali anyway. I don't know how good, where it is, right here? Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, that's Deuce Ali, all right? So, you're talking about a Moor, an Egyptian Sudanese Moor, all right? Now, I'm sorry, I got to do this. Let's just connect this. Because Sudan, or the Sudanese, that's pretty much the same area as what we refer to as Ethiopia. And most of these places was empires before they was broken up into kingdoms and broken up into villages. So let's not forget that the Moors, during the same time, are the same people who assisted Stalin in trying to take over Ethiopia. I just want to add all that in. During the same time, and I'm just giving y'all facts. I'm not trying to start no shit. But since we talking about it and I had to bring up that he's a Moor, I got to give y'all just facts. This is just facts, all right? During this same time, between the 1800s and today, the Moors were constantly fighting for status, rank, and separation from the people they helped to invade, conquer, and motherfucking commit genocide against with the alliance of the fucking Albion. That's who they call the white man. Whatever. The Albion. I'll flow with y'all on y'all own doctrine. But the fact of the matter is, if it wasn't for the same prestige and greatness we keep giving praise to Moors for giving to Europeans, we wouldn't be here in the first place the way we were. Because remember, we were already ruling America. We were already ruling. Yeah, we fucked up when we let Columbus come over here. But let's be honest. Columbus was assisted by Moors. The conquistadors, those were Moors. The conquistadors was Moors, nigga. They was wiping your ass out. They was speaking your language, you know, shaking your hand, hugging you, loving you, you know, feeling like a cousin that came home, that your long lost cousin or brother. And then they said, hey man, these niggas is over there, they over there, they over there, they over there, then they over there. You know, you sure I'm gonna be back to general, right? Rank, status. I even heard Moors today when I mentioned that to an extent. It's like, yeah, off with his head. If he ain't about status, off with his head. What kind of brotherly love shit is that? No, off with his head when he deceives you and he works for the fucking Albion. Off with his head then. Off with his head then. Not off with his head because he don't fucking know that you and this Albion made an agreement 200 years ago on a piece of paper about some shit that you trying to reimburse right the fuck now. Fuck out of here. I'm talking about centuries and millenniums. I'm talking about millions and billions of years of history. That shit is microscopic crumbs of fractional microscopic crumbs within our existence. Our focus on it is whatever. Anyway, all right. Now, I showed y'all Deuce Ali. Now, I want to go into the fact, like I said, Marcus Garvey worked for Deuce Ali. Deuce Ali carried the Sudanese flag. All right. See, we got to understand. Perfect. I'm gonna give y'all a perfect example. And I don't mean to do this, but this is just the perfect example. I'm not trying to pick on nobody, but the Moroccan flag was not originally a 5-star pentagram, green interlock, yada yada flag. It was a 6-point when the so-called Jew, Hebrew, what's the other one? Not Falasha, not them, even though they're real Hebrew. I'm talking about the other one. Sephardim, Sephardims, all right? All of that shit during the late 1800s, okay, was under so-called Jewish / Arabic rule. Even the city of Fez was under Arabic rule for a long time. Whatever you want to call these people, let's be honest. We're not talking about black people. Because I know people go, oh, it wasn't that people, it was this people, and it was that people. But nigga, are we talking about 9 ether motherfucking people? No. We talking about 6 ether motherfuckers that's in your shit. And that's telling you what you are to this very day. And you running with the shit. Anyway. So, for the example, that flag that these Moors keep saying is 10,000 years old and 50,000 years old and all of this different shit has been changed numerous times due to who was ruling that area, which was once called Mauritania, and then of course other different names during Carthaginian times, all of this different shit. All right. The fact of the matter is, what we're referring to as this RBG flag, this red, black, and green being created by Marcus Garvey, is false. because this is a flag that is more ancient than all of those flags, or any flag anybody's talking about right now, until we see something that's supposedly older. And then really, in the reality, we're not even talking about a flag, because a flag is nothing but the constant physical representation of a symbol or an energy. And that's where your flag comes from. You know, so we're dealing with source here. We're dealing with source. So let's just say symbol to keep it very simple. Because when I say energy, it could be a lot of stuff, but the symbol is locked in there. So when I put different vibrations in a specific order on top of each other, I just created a symbol. As primitive as the symbol is, it's still a symbol. Now, let's go into how long ago this so-called flag or this symbol was being used. We can go into even so-called pre-dynastic Egyptian times, which is still an iffy subject. Maybe I'll make a video about, because the fact of the matter is, you got certain scrolls and manuscripts, or whatever you would like to call them, during those times that show so-called Egypt or Kemet or Tameri going back 30,000 years in record. But they're just not allowing you to see that, and they just call it whatever it is. And to be honest with you, it's all the movies you see. That's another subject. But they know your history front to back, up and down. But they give you a fraction of it. And even that fraction, they're able to expand into infiniteness, because it's just so many levels to your existence and cycles on this so-called earth, plane, existence, dimension, vibration, where we're going into so-called billions of years or millions of cycles. The Zing Empire, Z-I-N-G-H, the Zing Empire, Z-I-N-G-H, okay, headed by a god king. I believe his name was Tariq, something in that form. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing the way they was speaking it, but he was considered a god king. I want us to also, because I'm saying this right now, and when you look it up, Zing, Z-I-N-G-H Empire, okay, they were based in Central America, okay, Sudan, South Africa. They weren't based in the North anywhere. It was all Central and South. Well, let me not say based anywhere. I'm talking about the origin. If you study the origin of the Zing Empire, they was based in the South or Central America. Now, we're talking about Zing Empire, something that is said by their terms. By their terms, we also got to remember, we're talking about archaeological accumulation of history in certain aspects. Peace. History in certain aspects that are being deemed and measured by the recessive. So they find an artifact that could be carbon dated, or that could be selenium dated, and all these different forms of mineral measurement, okay, based on comparison to the regular soil in the ground. Because people don't understand, that's how they come up with these numbers. They test the soil that's so deep, so therefore the topsoil on the topsoil is the newest stuff. So you got like 100 years, 1,000 years, and and then so they test the soil against another mineral compound matched with the artifacts, so on and so forth, whatever the case may be. I'm just trying to give y'all the idea. And then they get the time. So their time frame, what they're saying, is 20,000 years. Now we're talking Zing Empire right now. Z-I-N-G-H, Zing Empire. So basically, we got a so-called empire, by their terms, 20,000 years old, originating in so-called South Africa or Central Africa, and that utilize the red, black, and green to an extreme extent. They were known for that. All right. So whether they was waving a flag that blew in the wind, but nobody, of course, they didn't find any flags, but what they do find is pottery and certain artifacts and artwork that have the red, black, and green. Now, here's another thing that the flag we see now, if you want to say it like this, and I'm not confident in that this is a fact, but I'm saying that this comes with the information. The order of the red, black, and green was different. The black was on top. If you notice, when you look at the RBG flag, red, black, green, black is in the middle. But in the original so-called order of the vibrations, which we call colors, which was the symbolism of their empire, so on and so forth, black was on top, which, by the way, is the crown motherfucking chakra, y'all. It ain't no goddamn indigo. Black glows indigo. Black glows indigo. That's why if you notice, when you take a black marker or black anything, you put it on your skin, it changes another color anyway, whether it's a dark green or indigo color. All right? Because remember, black is the abyss, spectrum, void, and wound of all colors and all things in existence. So black could change up on your ass in a minute and still be black. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Could change up to you in a minute and still be black. All right? This is why there's nothing you can name using a language of a word that is more divine than black or blackness. Let me say that again. And I'm talking to all of y'all because I get into the more stuff too. I get into that with y'all. There's nothing in any language, because even in Nordic mythology, even in European and Greek mythology, black was still the highest, because when they depicted their black gods fighting with other gods, when they depicted their gods fighting with other gods, they was depicted as black. The god was black. When Zeus, I can't think of the Typhon. Dude, that's why I love the subconscious. Ooh, it's always there. That's why y'all never see me with y'all saw me with books on the homosexuality, but I was just trying to make a point. But that's why y'all never see me with books and notes and shit, because it's always there. Typhon. When you see Zeus fight Typhon, who is a man serpent type god, but at the end of the day, we're still talking about different time frames of their mythology, which is not theirs. They got it from an indigenous people and they distorted it. Their story never changes. It's always the same over and over. First time they hit a place, they take some shit, fuck it up, and then put their name on it. And then now you think it's theirs for the rest of your life. Okay? They have nothing. Like nothing at all. Nothing. But anyway, if you look at Zeus that fights Typhoon, which is part of the Greek mythology, Typhoon is black and even Zeus is black. So their gods are black because their gods come from the indigenous cultures that came upon when they slaughtered them, and they just adopted them, and they just, or after they slaughtered them. The Qing Empire goes back at the minimum of 15 to 20,000 years. The Qing Empire is known to use the black, green and red, or red and green. Now, once again, let me tell y'all where y'all can find this flag in the colors within the order it's supposed to be to prove y'all right. If you look at the original indigenous flags of this land, due to the ones who claim indigenous nationality, a little bit different than certain Moors, that these groups of these Moors, you got to be careful because you got different kinds. But the fact of the matter is, the ones who claim indigenous and not necessarily big time Morocco, they don't wave the Moroccan flag, or what we refer to as the Moroccan flag today. One of them is the Washita, and the Washita have it in the correct order because they have the so-called red, black, and green flag with their symbol in the middle of it, but it's in the correct order. All right. Now, I could do y'all one better right now. Now, hold up. You know what? Since I'm pulling this up anyway, let me just share it with y'all regardless. All right. Now, I know y'all can't read that. All right. But I'm going to read it to you. That's Deuce Ali, and that's Marcus Garvey. All right. Marcus Garvey worked on a paper between 1912 and 1913 and was heavily influenced by Ali. It is reported, however, that Ali dismissed Garvey for laziness. The AT and OR, Remember, his paper was called The African Times and the Orient Review. I told you that earlier without looking at shit. Here it is right here. The African Times and Orient Review. So the AT and OR suffered a hiatus during the Great War, which was World War One. So you see, we're talking about World War One times. Can y'all even tell me somebody that y'all, you know what I'm saying? World War One times we talking. World War One, not two, World War One. So they was coming up during this time, traveling the world, all right? Hiatus during the Great War, World War One, and was relaunched as the African Orient Review in October 1918 and continued in publication until 1920. All right, now 1920 is when his paper was done. All right, and by the way, it said 1912 to 1913. I know it's going to be backwards, but 1912 to 1913, Marcus Garvey worked for Dousa for 1 year. All right. And he worked for him 1 year because essentially, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just giving y'all the information. You know, essentially, Dousa fired Marcus Garvey. But here's a funny twist in the story. Later on, if you study Dousa's life, he came back to America after traveling the world again and ended up working for Marcus Garvey again in his paper, okay, which I believe was the African Tribune or Pan-African Tribune, something like that of some sort, real quick. Now, you know, I just want to share with y'all, you know, now a lot of this information does not come to me through anything what y'all might think it is. If you check this video out, we much more. I speak to Moorish elders. I speak to people who was studying during a time when YouTube and Google and the internet and your smartphones and nothing was smart. The only thing that was smart was the motherfucking person. Now you don't even got to be smart. That's why I work so hard to separate myself as much as I can from that and devour information as firsthand as closely I could get it. So that's why a few of my videos only now, which will be more later, you see me, I talk with elders, I build with elders, I connect with elders because they are the walking libraries. That shit ain't changed. That African proverb has not changed. It's just you think that all you need is motherfucking, I don't know, Instagram and shit. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I use it. You damn sure right I use it because I'm not stupid. I chose this paradigm for a specific reason. So I utilize the tools and certain forms of conveying instruments during this time of me existing within this realm in order to convey the message and activate the so-called souls, minds, intelligence, and gods of this current plane. Now, like I said, Dousa, D-U-S-E, A-L-Y-A-L-I, Deuce Muhammad Ali. He was also called Bey Effendi, B-E-Y-E-F-F-E-N-D-I. Okay, Bey Effendi. All right, he was a Moor, and basically, he was an Egyptian Sudanese. He studied among Egyptian orders, Egyptian Turks. He traveled Europe and London. He was a playwright. He was an actor. He was an author. He wrote a book on the history of Egypt because he was an Egyptian, by the way. Basically, what I'm saying is this man, and when he came to America, he started the African Times and Orient Review newspaper, who Marcus Garvey worked for. Okay? He fired Marcus Garvey, and then all of a sudden, Marcus Garvey becomes a Pan-Africanist. Now, during the time of the African Times and Orient Review newspaper that was owned and ran by Dousa, there was also, I said his name 1,000 times. I said multiple people's names. You gotta let me know again. Dousa, I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. D-U-S-E-A-L-I or D-U-S-E-M-O-H-H-A-M-E-D, or just like Elijah Muhammad, Deuce Muhammad Ali. We're talking about a Moor. We're talking about a Sudanese Egyptian Moor who studied under Masonic orders and who was part of Masonic orders. If you study his story, just like I said in the earlier part of the video, most of our leaders were. The point I'm getting at, and I want to go back to the Zing Empire. The point I'm getting at is that we have to stop stopping where we get comfortable at, because this is where your box is built. I teach expansion because I understand that is a God mind. A God mind is expansion. A God is not limited to a state, city, land, or even a planet. They understand that they are forever expanding and part of the infinite mind. Now, not to make this metaphysical. Now, let's go into Noble, because the fact that Noble Drew Ali, okay, Timothy Drew, was born in a so-called prophet around the same exact time frame as Marcus Garvey and Deuce Ali. Now, Marcus Garvey and Deuce Ali, Noble Drew Ali and Deuce Ali were both Moors, all right? And the fact of the matter is, I ain't trying to big up nothing, but the fact of the matter is, I'm giving y'all information. The fact of the matter is they influenced and taught Noble Drew Ali. Now, think about it, y'all. Here comes Noble Drew Ali with nationality, okay? Here comes Deuce Ali speaking purely of pan-Egyptian, pan-Asian, or as they call it back in that day, pan-Oriental or Orient. Because when you hear the word Orient or Oriental, you're still talking about Asia. So basically, he was coming from a pure Moorish aspect, which was saying, hey, my black Asiatics, sound familiar? My black Asiatics, all right? We need to go back to our homeland. Noble Drew Ali came over here and said, my black Asiatics, that place and this place is our homeland. And then Garvey came and said, my black people, nationality or nationhood is the goal with black empowerment. Your black skin is not a hinder or a curse. So notice you got 3 different ideologies during a same time, but none of them had conflict with each other because they all learned from each other, which is a beautiful fucking thing that we can't seem to get today. But it's understood if I go through the chronology from the last 100 years. It's very understood because remember, during those times, you're just getting out of slavery, goddammit. A lot of us was not feeling a white man like that. So a lot of us was like, hey, fuck it. I'm a prophet. Nigga, I'm Jesus. Nigga, I'm this. Nigga, I'm that. Because during this time, you had multiple messiahs or multiple prophets. Another one was F.S. Cherry, who I don't hear about either. And I find that hilarious because I would think that Hebrew Israelites would speak about him. But I don't hear about him either. The same way I don't hear about Deuce Ali. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that's a whole nother story. And I could connect that, and I'm not going to because I want to keep this short. I'm going to keep this under an hour. Fact of the matter is, Marcus Garvey did not introduce the red, black, and green flag. That's a fact. Second thing, or really that should have been the first thing, but dealing with the title of this video, that had to be the first thing. Second thing, I really want to acknowledge that when you see the red, black, and green flag, all you're seeing is different levels of vibration put in a specific order. Because the crown belongs at the top. And the original arrangement of the red, black, and green was not black in the middle, but black on the top. And remember, the red is usually the root chakra. Okay, now red and green could be interchangeable from the earth and the blood and all of that different stuff. But I'm talking about colorology. I'm talking about the chakra system. Because remember, this is ancient. Now, we can't forget all the shit we're learning today from crystals to chakras and all. Remember, never forget, this shit is ancient knowledge. So don't think niggas wasn't talking align your chakras 10,000, 20,000 years ago. Just because you saying it now on motherfucking Instagram don't mean, and I know you say you know it's ancient, but it is. Because that's the way they were dealing with it, but they were dealing with it on a whole nother level. We can't even fathom that in that time because it was like common sense. It's like common sense. You know, just imagine you walk in the house and your woman's like, I'm not going to talk to you right now while you're in your bottom chakra. You see what I'm saying? It was just regular shit, you know? So we got to understand that everything has a source and everything has an origin. And if you're not going back to back to back to back to back to the last, or to nowhere where you can't dig, you're not dealing with source knowledge. You're dealing with a time frame in a choice of a moment that you feel confident or you feel comfortable in. And that's what I see a lot of us doing. I don't give a shit who you talk about or where you go, because at the end of the day, I know I own this planet and I know I'm older than this planet. So there's no icon or leader you could talk shit about. Don't say it about my leader. I respect all the elders. I respect the ancestors and all that. But I know each generation that's born is not here to be like the last generation. What the fuck is the point of generations, motherfuckers? I hear y'all going so hard on following the ancestors, so on and so forth. You're supposed to use them as a template. Use them. You take the 7 laws and you take the 7 principles of Mana'at, not that 42 shit. That 40, no disrespect. I know I'm gonna get a lot of y'all mad at me. I'm sorry, the guard realm coming out now. I can't help it because I can't stay human too long. I gotta let y'all know what it is. The 7 universal laws and the 7 principles of Ma'at. When you're dealing with harmony, reciprocity, you know, those good ones right there. Notice love ain't in there. Now, these are the only spectrums of result and reaction within a physical existence that you really need to adhere to. Everything else comes from your fall. Once I add the 15th or the 8th to either one of the 7th or them combined, I'm falling. I shouldn't have to tell you don't fuck animals. I shouldn't have to tell you that. I shouldn't have to tell you that. It shouldn't have to be a commandment that you don't kill a man who's not trying to kill you. That shouldn't have to be I shouldn't have to, you know what I'm saying? It should be a divinity inside you that's balanced between the higher and the lower, that understand the taking of life, unless within time of either defense of own or in time of a need for that being or energy to transcend, is not about right or wrong. It's just out of your place. Cause fuck the right or wrong shit. But then, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting too metaphysical. Let's stick to the topics. Now, what I'm saying tonight is Marcus Garvey did not invent the RBG flag. Marcus Garvey is not the originator. Marcus Garvey is not the creator. Marcus Garvey is not even the person that first introduced it, because Deuce Ali, Duseali, or Deuce Muhammad Ali, Dusemohhamed, all right? He was doing what Marcus Garvey was doing here in the Sudan, in Egypt, in London, and then he came to America, and Marcus Garvey worked for him and got inspired and influenced by him. This is historical fact, okay? It's documented. There's an excellent book, only one I know, on Deuce Muhammad Ali. Sometimes it's spelled M-O, sometimes it's spelled M-U, but either way, when you see Deuce Muhammad Ali, it's usually always the same person, same one picture, giving a breakdown of his story as being a playwright, as being an actor, as being an author, as traveling through the world, as being part of these different, they want to be nice, but when you tell me something like the Brotherhood of Luxor or something like that, what are you talking about? You're talking about levels of Masonic orders, you know what I'm saying? So you can say Brotherhood of the Timberland in New York. Either way, at the end of the day, I know you're talking about something that a group of people are doing together and not necessarily sharing completely 1,000% with everybody. All right. So the key points tonight I want y'all to get and understand and know as fact, and do your own research by all means. I'm making an attempt to give y'all the names, spell them for you, and all of that good stuff. All right. Like I said, there's a book on Deuce Ali, Deuce Muhammad Ali. Oh man, it has a long bottom title, but you know, as soon as you'll see it, you know, it's that you'll see him with the fez on. I just showed you the picture. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let me see if I'll show you a few more. But fact of the matter is, you're dealing with groups of leaders who, because they didn't have easy access to information as we do today, and use frivolously and use in a way that's not very high in a higher frequency or God-like aspect, they had to enter Masonic ranks in order to gain access to certain forms of libraries and certain forms of places of knowledge and certain teachers and guides and so on and so forth. This is why 99% of all your greatest leaders, whether you like it or not, are part of certain forms or levels, for lack of a better word. I'm just using the word Mason because I know that's what y'all connect to, but there's many orders and many hierarchies and all of this shit. But it's still, at the end of the day, Moorish science, which is still Commission mystery system. All right. Which is still nothing but the combination of astrology, nature, planetary orbit, 7 laws, all these things just rolled and combined, occult science, all right, manipulation of the 4+ elements is all combined into one ball, and then it's called a secret society. So all it is, all right? So we need to get over this dumb shit, because if you look at a picture you don't like, then I draw it, what are you initially looking at? See, if we got to use eyes like we are gods. So when I see the Baphomet picture, at the core of cores, where I could go no deeper or no lower, what am I really looking at? The combination of geometry, fractals, and curves. That's all I'm looking at. And angles. So when I look at the elbow, when I'm looking at all these different things and horns and stuff, I'm looking at curvature, I'm looking at angles, I'm looking at geometry and all of this different stuff, because it's a combination of nothing but lines and strokes of energy that are creating symbols and what we refer to as symbology or geometry. So this is why you also will see the G in the Masonic symbol. Some say it's God, some say it's geometry. Either fucking way, God is geometry, motherfuckers, because geometry is what you look at every motherfucking day. As we speak right now, I'm looking into a box, which is 4 90-degree angles adding up to 360. You see what I'm saying? My face in itself, the curvature, if it's measured and drawn with a radius to the center, I already have 4 angles adding up to the curvature. Everything is geometry in all existence. Fractals, and what's the other one? I don't even want to take no time trying to dig through that. But you see how I'm trying to stick to one subject. It usually be better if I have somebody, but Marcus Garvey didn't give you the red, black, and green flag. The Qing dynasty is an empire over 15 to 20,000 years old that existed in the areas of the Sudan, and that spread out throughout North Africa, South Asia, and also South America. Okay, most of the pottery that shows red, black, and green is found in South America. Okay, because every empire they went to, or every people they quote unquote colonized, because see, we colonized too. But there's a huge difference in everything the European does to what we do. Because when we colonize people, what we did was we took their culture, their custom, and we combined it with ours. And we made one nation or one empire combined with 2 kingdoms. See, if I'm coming from another land, I can't not necessarily make you a empire, because I'm not combining my land with your land to make that empire of 2 kingdoms. But what I can do is make you a kingdom of my empire, or make you a colony or a province of my nation, or whatever we want to call it. So that's what we did. And when we went places and we saw that they were no different than us, we said, all right, oh, yada Wasis. Okay, we're going to call us the Zingwasis. The Zingwasis. You see what I'm saying? And then the name would change. Because we combined kingdoms. We didn't slaughter people. We didn't commit genocide against people. I mean, just imagine if we were genocidal people, there would be no people on the earth. And now they're talking about overpopulation. You see what I'm saying? So, which is bullshit. But that flag or that vibration within the order that it's in is at the minimum 20,000 years old by the usage of Xing empires and all other nations that came under during their dominance at the time frame of 10,000 to 20,000 BC. Once again, we're talking about the area of the Sudan, talking about the area of Nubia, Ethiopia. We're talking about Central to South Africa. All right. 90% of your leaders are Masons. They're part of different levels of Masonic order, whether it's Prince Hall, which is usually associated with being a black order. Okay. Either way, it's all irrelevant anyway, because what they're doing is they're going back to the so-called whoever the fuck to get their original shit back because they gave it to them in the first place. And let's be honest, the Moors gave it to them. The Moors gave them all the science. The Moors gave them all the agriculture. The Moors gave them all judicial system, legislative. The Moors gave them every fucking thing. Not only did the Moors give them everything, but the Moors put them in charge too. See, I would understand, because you even hear more teachers telling you this. I would understand if they made an alliance with the European and then had like a special underground, just pure original Moorish group who had the real knowledge and who always kept things in place. The same way that white people do with the 13 families, which is now 12 families or whatever, technically, whatever. But the same thing. But they didn't do that. They just gave them every fucking thing. Yes, I mean, basically, if we trying to not be nice, yeah. That's why they're known as the, my brother says, so the Moors are basically sellouts. That's why they're known as race traders. If you type in biggest race traders in history, I guarantee you the Moors will come up on that list. And then you know what's so funny about this? Yeah, all right, please don't make this about the Moors. You know what's so funny about this that I find interesting by using pure observation and intelligence? When you speak to a Moor, right, they want to separate themselves from you because they're not black and they're not you and all that shit, right? But then as soon as you start talking about their atrocities that they assisted the European upon taking over all lands, now they want to go, well, we're all Moors. We're you know, that was us. It was everybody. The Moors are the African people too. But nigga, you tell me you not from Africa. So the fuck? Now, I know, Morocco and you know, I'm not even going to, oh God, I'm already getting more human. I'm not even going to go into it because it's just a big goddamn mess. And it's mixed in biblical bullshit too, which is really sad. But anyway, the red, black, and green flag was introduced by Deuce Ali during the time of the early 1900s, around 1912. The same time in 1912, Marcus Garvey worked for Deuce Ali's newspaper, which was called the African Times and the Orient Review. Deuce Ali was an Egyptian Sudanese who fought for the rights of Egyptians and Asiatics. And he was a Moor. Okay. He was part of numerous orders. He was a playwright. He was famous for his plays. He wrote a book on Egyptian history. He was pretty famous, but he wasn't famous in the black leader aspect. He was more famous in the publication / you know, like, cause remember y'all, there was no TV yet, y'all. So, you know, the nigga that got the dope plays is the shit. So remember the time frame we talking about. We talking about the early 1900s, late 1800s. Deuce Ali born 1866, November 1st, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm mistaken, I'm sorry. But if you look him up, November 1st, 1866, he died around 1945, I believe. Like I said, man, this is I won't even call him a teacher directly, but he's a strong influence on Marcus Garvey. Now, mind you, his paper, which came before Marcus's paper, because remember, Marcus worked for his paper first and then had his own paper. His paper was about Pan-Egyptian Asiatic. or Pan-African Asiatic? Why do you think it's called the African Times and Orient Review? Like I said, Orient means Oriental. Okay, so he called his first paper the African Times, Africa, Egypt, and the Orient Review, Asia, Asiatic. All right. So this is just a different language going on at the time where we're not around. We're talking about over 100 years ago right now. So they weren't saying the same shit that we see a lot of Moors say today. They were saying it very closely, but it wasn't exactly the same. They use Orient and Oriental a lot too. This is the man that gave Marcus a job at a paper that was about Pan-Africanism and Asian. This is a man that influenced Marcus Garvey and who also brought over the red, black, and green flag from Sudanese. Because remember, he was a Sudanese and an Egyptian, Dus Ali, Duseali, or Dus Muhammad Ali. All right. Every picture you'll see, he'll have a fez on because there's only one picture of him. All right. There's a lot more to the story. I'm trying to give it to y'all without going too deep. Been on about an hour. I don't want to take too much time. Remember, we come before everything at this current time that we are just discovering within our mind as information and knowledge and so-called knowledge of self and consciousness. Anywhere you get comfortable and decide to just sit down and just bask in that, understand you are building the foundation to your box. Because on this plane or planet or realm or whatever the fuck you want to call it, we are at the minimum 2 billion years old. So for anybody to get stuck in the last 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 400 years, 1,000 years, 5,000 years, you're in a box. Knowing that I am infinite, my goal is to touch on subjects dealing with source knowledge and going as far back as I can possibly go. I gave you the teachers of Marcus Garvey, who, by the way, was the teachers of Elijah Muhammad. On top of that, I'm going to even do y'all one better. I'm going to give you the influencer or the teacher of Dus Ali, who influenced him to go his direction as a teenager, as a child, who was Maled Mahdi. I have to give it to y'all. Oh man, you know what? I should have taken it, because you know it's almost like the further you go back in time, the longer the names get. But I want to give you his name, so when you type it, Ahmed, Ahmed, Ahmed Ali. And he has Allah in his name too. Oh man, he has a long name. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't want to take too much time so I remember this. He'll come to me anyway. But anyway, this is the one who influenced Dus Ali as a child. He died at 40 years old fighting for, he was a Sudanese, by the way. He was a Sudanese, which makes sense because remember, Dus Ali was a Sudanese. And he was fighting for Ethiopia against the invader. Because remember, they was always invading your ass. They never stopped. And very small handful. Now, he was using swords and all this stuff against a high-powered European army during the times of the early and mid 1800s. And still was able to take a lot of their ass out before he lost. And he ended up dying around 40 years old. All right? But this is the influencer of, and I'll bring his name up later. I got his name in my phone, but I don't want to do whatever. But yes, we got to go to the source of the source. We can't get trapped within these boxes of these one or two people. And when we name them, give them praise. But then just drop that one little jewel of who taught them. And then you can close the show. Because I understand we love Marcus. That's who we know. So on and so. I respect all of that. But to see it come up so many times and not one person mention the man that got him into Pan-Africanism. And we can mention Noble Drew Ali too, because during these times we have to remember all the so-called prophet and major teachers and leaders of this time They all exchanged information with each other. There was no beef. They didn't have beef debates like we do today. They didn't have beef debates. The Moors, okay, and the Garveyites, okay, and the beginning of Nation of Islam, because remember, Nation of Islam was a little bit later, technically, because right now we're talking about early 1900s, 1920s. So we're talking about the fathers of Nation of Islam, technically. And by the way, this is why a lot of Moors use Islam so much. They want to say, I don't want to go into this. Oh my God. They want to say, I self law and master, right? Then you want to tell me that Islam is older than Arabic, but you're using English words to turn Islam into an acronym, and you're going to tell me that's ancient? English is only 500 years old. So Islam, the word itself, is older than English. And then also, if I want to turn Islam into an acronym, I have to use Arabic words. And the word for I is not I in English. The word for self is not self in English. It's all in Arabic. So that teaching in itself is completely deceptive. Yes, that too. Haitian Revolution too. Well, you got to remember, they studied all of these histories, but I'm talking about the people who were sitting right there. I'm not talking about, see, studying your history can influence you, but you also have people that you grow up with, or people that you work with, or people that you meet face to face and see every day that influence you too. I'm talking about those people. Yes, he was influenced by Haitian Revolution. Yes, he was influenced by the history of Ethiopia. Yes, he was influenced. I mean, that's what made him a Pan-Africanist. Now, guess who he learned it from? You were Jamaican in America, and you bump into a Sudanese Egyptian, and now you a Pan-African. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Why didn't he just come a pure revolutionary for Jamaica alone? Why even talk about Pan-African? Why not just be a revolutionary for Jamaica and make Jamaica perfect? You see what I'm saying? Because he was influenced by somebody that was beyond Jamaica. So he fought for Jamaica and Africa and beyond Jamaica. All right. So to wrap this up, because I'll be here all night talking my shit, and I don't want to make my videos too much longer. Like I said, please, y'all, leave comments, leave criticism. Let me know what I can do. Close brother of mine told me, don't make your joints too long. I know sometimes I jump on so many subjects and I just ramble. So I'm always watching the clock and stick to the subject. You see what I'm saying? But please leave comments, leave criticism. I'm a student long before I'm a teacher. And that's what makes me divine. That's what makes me divine. I am a servant long before that I'm here to receive. That's what makes me divine. So I'm servicing y'all right now. I'm here to serve y'all, and I'm also here to learn from y'all. And I want to learn how to be better at what I am on this third dimensional plane in this human form, but my expansion will always be spirit and soul and mind. But because y'all are sharing this plane with me, I will obey, admit, submit, and absorb the projections of what you have to say dealing with intelligence. If it ain't intelligence, I can't hear it anyway. So, you know, you talk all the shit you want. Even if you don't agree with something, you know, just come intelligently. You know what I'm saying? Listen, brother, this and this is wrong because so and so and so. Like, all right, no problem. Whatever. You dig? Red, black, and green is vibrational settings within a specific order. The black is always the crown. The red, black, and green flag was used by empires older than Egyptians, older than a lot of so-called Nile Valley civilizations, which was birthed from these empires, who gave birth to other empires around the so-called globe, planet, earth, whatever, or pizza pie. You see? So when we say this one man created this or this one man created that, we have to be careful, because that's another form of almost making them like your personal Jesus. Now, by all means, paying homage, respect, and great honor is necessary, and it's in the laws of so-called Ma'at, or the principles of Ma'at. But at the end of the day, we must always be focused on expansion. Now, I'm only saying this if your goal is to be divine. If your goal is just to be smart and successful and have a nice house and, whatever the fuck, then you ain't got to hear nothing I'm saying. You ain't got to agree with nothing. But if your goal is activation, as I like to call myself, the activator, because that's what I'm here to do, you have to understand that you should never be in one spot or one level of understanding or knowledge for too long. You must always expand beyond it. Ask questions. Okay? Listen to every fucking body, but just use intelligence, melanin, and righteousness. Notice everybody use love and hate all the time. Can't fight hate with hate. Love is love. You can't tell hate or love. See, these things are arbitrary words. They mean fucking nothing. But righteousness, I can't make a shirt that says, hey man, it's righteous to rape. That don't make no damn sense. Anybody that know the definition or know the meaning of righteousness, that they won't even be offended that they talking about rape. They'll be like, that shirt is stupid. It don't even make any sense. Righteous rape. How that make any sense? You see what I'm saying? Oh man, it's righteous to be a pedophile. Oh, it's righteous to fuck another man in his ass with my male penis. None of that's not righteous. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, when you use words like love, I love to rape. I love to kill. I love to fight. I love to beat up people. Where am I wrong in any of that context, in any of that statement that I'm making about myself personally? How am I wrong? I'm not wrong. I'm using the word correctly. I love to do that shit. I'm right. So anytime these people come with this love and hate and oh my God, it just made me want to throw up, man. Can't fight hate with hate, love not, and then they don't even see how these stupid groups are using them back to back right after the other. Gay pride, you can't put love on gender. Pedophilias, you can't put age on love. Y'all don't even come up with some new shit. I use the same shit over and over. Not the subject tonight. Peace, y'all. My black family, 6 to 22 strand, 7 to 9 ether follicle, you melanin, selenium base, gods of this planet. I love y'all. I'm cutting this short. Once again, Marcus Garvey did not create or invent the RBG flag. You're dealing with energies, the science of colorology, put in a specific order to specify and project a symbol. And black was on top on the original flag. Black was on top. Just like black is on top of your chakras, which we call indigo. But black is on top. That's why I'll never give up my blackness. Much respect to all the ancestors. Much respect and great love and appreciation and admiration to the great Marcus Garvey, Marcus Messiah Garvey. Much respect for those who came before him, like Noble Jew Ali or Timothy Drew. Much respect to the ones who came before him, like Deuce Ali, Deuce Muhammad Ali. Okay. Much respect to those who came before him, like F.S. Cherry. Okay. Much respect to the ones that came before all of these men, and who came before them, and who came before them, and the mothers who gave birth to them. That's where we need to be. Peace, peace. Love y'all.